After a fantastic 9 episodes in My Adventures with Superman's first season, we've now reached the 10th and final episode of the season, and honestly, it's pretty much perfect. This video will be my review for My Adventures with Superman Season 1, Episode 10, the season finale, titled Hearts of the Fathers. To start the video off, I want to talk about the title of the episode and what the season has been building up to. From right before the intro, Clark confronts his father telling him he'll stop the invasion, which felt very invincibly, to right after the intro, Lois says that her father is coming to Thanksgiving dinner. This episode had a very clear vision and a very well built up to plan of the main characters and their fathers and their dynamics. Out of the two, it was actually definitely Lois's father's role in the episode that I was more anticipating, because of how evident it was that he was the general and they are the same person, General Sam Lane. The potential interactions between Sam and both Clark and Lois were really exciting. The season did such a great job at making that so much more interesting than it otherwise would have been, and let me tell you, this episode did not disappoint. Clark's reaction to seeing the general when expecting Lois's father was great. His facial expressions in the ensuing scene were hilarious, as was Sam asking Clark if they've met before or if he usually wears glasses. For as epic as it was, this finale was also genuinely really funny, mostly from Clark and Sam's interactions, but also the Jimmy related comedy was top tier here, between being pulled between characters telling him things to the reveal that he sold Flamebird to the Daily Planet for millions of dollars. This was one of the funnier episodes of the season, all things considered. Getting back to Sam though, the episode features some very well written moments between him and Lois that showcase the conflict between them, leading into this really nice moment near the end, which for one looks really good visually. We'll get back to the visuals later. The scene was definitely a huge highlight, acting as the emotional climax of the episode, and it works wonders. Leading into season 2, I can see them doing a lot with Sam, either in his relationship with Lois or in his relationship with Superman. Maybe slowly getting closer to what Sam is like on Superman and Lois, which is just a bit more supportive. In the end, Sam Lane kind of was the main villain of this season, which is interesting for a season of a Superman show for Sam Lane to be the main villain. That wouldn't really be my first guess or first choice, but he was used in a very unique and very interesting way, and in the end, it really worked. Sticking to the father's theme, this episode focuses heavily on Clark's conflict with his own father, Jor-El, or at the very least what he thinks is a conflict, who he assumes is leading the invasion to Earth. This is where the episode begins, starting with the dream sequence of Clark seeing the invasion leading to Lois and Jimmy's deaths, followed by him confronting his father and telling him he'll stop him when he returns. These two back-to-back opening gut punches did a great job at setting the stage for the episode, for Clark's fear and anxiety regarding the potential of Kryptonian's return, as well as the father-son dynamic that, like I said earlier, really reminded me of Invincible, especially in Clark telling Jor-El that he's going to stop him when he arrives. I feel like the parallel with Invincible is more important than just a coincidence in dialogue, as evil Superman have kinda become more popular than Superman in recent years, and the parallel alongside the actual alternate universe Superman that has been teased throughout the season, including in this episode, are being challenged by how the more typical, nice, earnest Superman of this show is shining, and he's a much more enjoyable, a much more entertaining character, if I say so myself. And again, yes, it works really well for the season and the episode as a whole. Speaking of, Clark learns about the alternate universe Superman in this episode, to which he really only has like a second to react before shit hits the fan. I really did like how realistic this reaction was, as Clark didn't have a clue what to say and is clearly also connects to the evil Kryptonians that are either invading, or at the very least, Clark thinks they're invading. That being said, the episode clearly did not have enough time to focus on this, so here's hoping they will in season 2. Maybe Ultraman or one of the other evil Supermen will even appear. When shit does hit the fan, the episode goes from being really funny and entertaining to absolutely insane and pretty epic. Lois and Superman share a tearful kiss as Superman goes off to potentially sacrifice his life to stop the invasion. This moment is emotional, but it's actually the visuals that stand out. The vibrant colors of the red sky and the perfect shading, and the visuals absolutely stayed at that level throughout the rest of the episode entirely. From the quintessentially Superman scene of lifting something huge into the sky, to the incredibly animated, fluid, visually stunning action scene of Superman fighting the robots aboard the ship alongside Jor-El's hologram, to the red and green clashing colors of the room at the ship's core, to the white void of Jor-El's space, to the beautiful sundown of the confrontation between Sam and Lois, and the other planet slash also space we see at the end. They clearly put a lot of effort into the visuals of this episode, making it one of the best, if not the single best looking episode of the season, which I definitely appreciate, and it definitely earns this episode some points. Obviously, it's not just the visuals, animation, and fight scenes that work so well here. The interactions between Superman and Jor-El, the conflict that grows from miscommunication, or rather a lack thereof of communication because they don't speak the same language, and Superman's absolute insistence on siding with humanity at every turn, and never wavering from that. It's such an awesome, such a perfect climax to the season, in everything from the visuals to the dialogue to even the music. This was exactly what the finale needed to accomplish, and I don't speak lightly of the music here. The episode is so exceptionally scored, adding so much to everything, especially in this big epic climax showdown. The music is so intense, it's so good. A lot of this episode surrounds Kryptonite, from Clark's reaction to it causing the ship to reactivate, to Jimmy using the Kryptonite to destroy some robots, to Clark's near-sacrifice moments. This all worked really well for the episode, but it also may have been a clever way at making it so that there is now a lot of Kryptonite on Earth, allowing for people like Metallo, Batman, and of course Lex Luthor to get their hands on it and make Superman's life harder. If that's what they were going for, it was a smart idea. If not, they could use this opportunity to go down that route, but even if they don't, the Kryptonite was still used in a very clever and unique way, in the choice to make it also hurt Kryptonian technology, leading to this awesome moment of Superman having to push through the pain of Kryptonite to use the Kryptonite himself to destroy a Kryptonian ship. It's not something you see very often. It was very cleverly used, and I thought it worked wonders for the episode. Such an awesome climactic moment for this episode. Going backwards a minute, I completely skipped over the important detail at the beginning of the episode where the trio all get promoted to reporters because of how it doesn't really connect to anything else. This isn't a bad thing though. This scene is a really nice season finale moment of the heroes finally getting what they've been striving for that changes the status quo going into season 2 and is just a really nice lighthearted moment, as is Jimmy's side in all of this, selling Flamebird to the Daily Planet for millions of dollars, which not only was a hilarious moment for the episode, but also gives the next season the perfect opportunity to allow Jimmy to get into some of the Silver Age hijinks that he usually gets into in a realistic way, which is probably where they're going with this. Also, I also skipped another thing. We see a picture of a very young Clark Kent with a girl that is probably Lana Lang, which I thought was a nice reference they put there. And of course, speaking of season 2, the episode ends with our first look at the other side of the invasion. It seems like Brainiac is working for these evil Kryptonians. The big bad saying that Earth will kneel obviously hints towards General Zod, but that is maybe a bit too simple. It feels like it's a bit too obvious, and this show doesn't really usually go for the obvious, so it's probably a red herring. It could be almost anyone. Either way, great cliffhanger, great visuals, and I'm definitely excited for season 2. In conclusion, after a season that is better than I expected, and a show that I already expected to be good, the season finale absolutely nailed the landing, and an episode that accomplishes everything it needed to, from the hilarious interactions between Sam and Clark, to Jimmy's scenes, to a fantastic score, to some top-tier animation, visuals, and fight scenes, and an episode that perfectly follows up on, either caps off or continues into the next season, all the main themes of the season. I genuinely don't think I have any complaints at all with this episode, making it the perfect candidate for the show's first 10 out of 10 episode, fitting for a season finale. It sucks that we probably won't be getting a season 2 for a good while, maybe like a year from now, but not only am I obviously very excited for that, but also with season 1 having now ended on such a high note, it has 100% cemented itself as one of the best seasons of DC TV ever made, a fantastically told modern day Superman story, maybe the single best modern day Superman origin story as well, and just a really good season of television in general. I love this season. I hope you did too.